Most C# developers don't know you can override ToString, operators, and indexes in classes. Let me show you how. We've got this money class and we've got properties for the amount, the currency code, and the currency symbol. A good way of using ToString in this instance is to format the amount with the currency. So the way that we do that is we call public override ToString, and then we're going to add the currency symbol and the amount. So we do that by getting the currency symbol property followed by the amount, and we want to put it to 2 decimal places. So that's how we do that. Now to test this, we're going to create a new instance of the money class. We'll pass in $100. So the symbol for that is of course the $sign. And then to the console application, we're just going to call cost ToString. And that outputs the amount formatted with the currency. If you don't override it, you just get the full type name. Not exactly useful. By overriding it, you get a readable string every time you print or log the instance. But that's not the only thing you can override in a class. You've also got operators, and we're going to have a look at the addition and subtraction operators. We're going to use those operators on the amount, and the way that we add it is we call public static. We're going to return an instance of the money, and to use the operators we call operator, and we're going to start with the addition, so we add the plus sign. We have to pass in 2 instances of the money class, and then we're going to return a new instance of the money. And what we're going to do is we're going to add the amount from A to the amount from B. And we just call A.amount plus B.amount like that. We also need to get the currency code and currency symbol. We can just get that from A. Now this wouldn't make an awful lot of sense if you're adding 2 amounts with different currencies. In that instance, if the currencies in A don't match B, then you might as well throw an exception. Now to subtract this, we'll copy and paste that, we'll change the operator to minus, and we're going to subtract the amount in A with the amount in B. We're now going to test that out, so we'll create a new instance of money, but we're going to change the amount to $40. Then we're going to output that to the console, so we're going to add cost to cost2, and then output the string. And that's added 100 to 40, making 140. We can try it by adding the subtraction to it, and that comes out as 60. There's also an equals operator. To show this, we're going to copy and paste this operator. We need to change the return type to a Boolean and change the operator symbol to 2 equal signs. Now we're going to compare the properties in A and with B. If they all match, then we'll return true, otherwise we'll return false. So we'll say if the currency code in A matches the currency code in B, and we'll do the same for the currency symbol as well. And finally, we'll also do it for the amount. If all of these match, then we're going to return true. Otherwise, we're going to return false. Now we're getting an error saying that if we're going to use the equals operator, we also need to define the not equals operator. So we're going to copy and paste that, and we'll change the operator, and then we also need to change the if statement as well. So we're just going to make some modifications for that. So if any of these don't match, then we return true. Otherwise, we return false. Let's now test this in the console application. So we're going to see if cost equals cost2. They've got the same amount, so we'd expect that to return true. If we change the amount to 40 in one of them, that will now return false. Let's try it with the not equal sign as well. So 100 doesn't equal to 40, so we expect that to return true. Now you can shortcut this if you've got one of the operators defined. With the not equals operator, we could just say not A equals B. So this will use this operator and return the opposite Boolean. But don't do it the other way around as well. So don't do this, so A equals not B. Because if you do that, you'll get a Stack Overflow exception and it will crash your application. Now when you use equals or not equals operator, it's recommended that you override the equals and get hash code methods. So we're starting to do that here. So with the equals, we're passing in the object, and if it's not on money, we return false. Otherwise, we do a comparison based on this property. So if we say if the currency code equals the one that's passing in as the object parameter, and also if the currency symbol matches as well, and we'll also do the same for the amount. If all of these match, then it will return true. Otherwise, it will return false. You can also define the less than, the greater than, and also the equivalent equal operators. But if you define one, you must also define the other. So if you don't do that, you get an error saying that you need to define it. And it's the same with the equals as well. So if we were to remove one of them, we get a similar error. We also do other C# tutorials on this channel. So if you're getting value from this video, hit the subscribe button and let me know in the comments if you use operators. As well as operators, you can also use indexers. An indexer allows us to get instances of a class using the square bracket syntax, a bit like an array. Now with this, we're going to get the index from the money list. The way that we do that is we call public, we're going to return an instance of the money, and then we call this. We then call the square bracket syntax and we pass in a parameter. We're going to pass in an integer of index. Now this is a property, so we're going to set the getter and we just return the money property based on the index that we're passing in. To test this out, we've created a new instance of the bank account and we've added 2 money types to the money list using this add method. Now to test this out in the console application, we get the bank account instance and then we pass in the index number as a square bracket. This will use this indexer here and this will output the second amount, which will be $40. You can also have multiple indexers as long as the parameter signature is different. So this time we're passing in a string and we're getting all the amounts in money where the currency code is the one that's passed in. We've tested it with US dollars and we're going to output each one to the console application. And you can also add multiple parameters to indexers. So here we've got the currency code and the amount, and we're returning all the instances in money where the currency code and the amount match in the parameters. So as long as the parameter signature is different, you can define an indexer for it. These underused features in C# have been around for a long time. But every time a new version of C# is released, it adds new features. You can watch this video next to find out some of the features that you might have missed. I'll see you over there.